bike around and look. You can't see them when driving. Just that's what we do.
Don't tell anybody where you took photos.
Don't you dare.
In late autumn and early winter, Kay and Linji leave their Hastings home on their bikes, scouring orchard roadsides for wild mushroom.
How do you cook them?
Oh, in butter and fry them up in butter. Yeah. With steak or, you know, whatever.
So, how often do you go out this time of year in autumn?
Every day like this. Yeah, try and go every day. Yes, it's been beautiful weather this year, just been amazing.
Their search takes them as far as Napier, 20 kilometres away. But the riding and gathering is only part of their foraging.
Sit outside in the sun, have a beer each and peel the mushrooms.
While foraging is a retirement hobby for the G's, Heta Edwards has been picking watercress since he was 7. He's the green's biggest fan and has even taken a more academic interest in it.
There's your traditional walnut with any meat, fresh vegetables. Watercress you usually put in last. You can have it in a hangi. Watercress is a good substitute for any spinach or lettuce or cabbage type meals. You can just have it as a side dish. You can eat it raw. You can have it in a Marmite sandwich. You can puree it and put it in somewhere to cool and bring it out as a shot at your pool parties. Yeah, there's a substitute for anything that you'd have: rocket, kale, spinach, silver beet, cabbage.
And do you look for anything else when you're out and about? Do you forage?
Yes, I do. Today I was lucky enough to find some puha. Sometimes the squash, people have already harvested their squash, so I can get some squash, some corn, maybe some onions, you know, just if I'm lucky. But I'm mostly looking for watercress, puha, watercress.
Foraging for watercress has become a part-time job, supplying local marae with the traditional food.
You know, my customers are predominantly Māori. I get the odd European, the odd Indian, the odd Islander. Actually, the island community, they eat quite a lot. But what people don't know is that watercress was introduced to New Zealand in the early 1800s when New Zealand's dairy farm industry was booming. And then after that, they introduced cattlecress, and I don't know why. They did it for the same purpose as watercress. Watercress is edible, cattlecress is not.
While they look similar, a quick taste test easily tells them apart, with raw watercress having a peppery flavour after a few seconds chewing.
Watercress was introduced 5 varieties in New Zealand. Hawke's Bay is only one of 3 places you can get the whole 5 varieties. 4 of them were introduced from Europe and 1 was from Japan. And that Japanese variety is actually the gourmet. That's the one you'll see on My Kitchen Rules or in restaurants.
Juliet Harbert is a world authority on cheese. She takes tours of foodies to local growers, but with an addiction to foraging, she keeps an opportunistic eye off the beaten track.
To go and see what's growing and what we can gather and pick and steal and otherwise. So, for example, pink peppercorns, which grow a huge number of pink peppercorn trees in the Hawke's Bay, and then sometimes mushrooms, sometimes watercress, sometimes walnuts. There are loads of old walnut trees which were obviously, you know, planted by the early settlers, which are just minding their own business. And of course I have in my own garden about 35 pine nut trees, and they produce the most beautiful pine cones with the most delicious pine nuts.
Harbert says anyone can forage, with the satisfaction extending far beyond the finished meal.
What's my favourite when I go out? I guess it's just the excitement of finding a new tree with something growing on it, like finding some persimmons or, you know, finding a pomegranate tree, which I saw hanging over somebody's garden one day. So, yeah, it's just, I love the excitement of finding new things.
Patrick O'Sullivan, Local Focus.